It's another day. We're out here working on the Nova still, and we're gonna get ready to pull the engine out. I already did some stuff. We pulled the hood off, the exhaust, which comes off with the V-band, so that comes off super easy. The starter's out. This stuff I already took off the other day. We're gonna get going on pulling the rest of the stuff off and get the engine out. No. I'm gonna take the motor and trans together, I think. Oh. Let's get to work. Gas started leaking out, leaked over my leg. Turbo. So this is what it looks like with the turbo off. Weird. I haven't had this thing apart at all since I originally put it together, so which is pretty good. So now, next I'll do the header, and then really that's it for the top. Just the bottom, a little bit of things on the bottom still we're gonna have to do, and get ready to come out. eBay headers, so like
eBay, but they're actually speed engineering.
Well, whatever. I got them off eBay 3 years ago. They still look pretty good to me. I mean, pretty nice quality tubing and welds and cheap. Yeah. So we got the underneath stuff done.
Mike did it all the work.
Yeah, I was underneath. He was dreaming about cats apparently instead.
We actually found him under there.
Yeah, sleeping, kind of like curled up like a cat, purring. So we got it all undone. The only thing still holding it is the motor plate. So let's pull it out. Okay. There it is. Now here, I'll give you guys a little close-up view of the thing for the coils. Pretty simple how I just made it with some pieces of aluminum. I could have used some thicker aluminum probably, but it works. Get them out of the way. We are deep in the bowels of a Nova. All right, guys, we're inside the engine compartment. I'm like an engine. Vroom, vroom. I got this bracket welded in on the inside. I can show you after when all this is out. I just did some cleanup in here on the frame. Just clean it up a little bit. And now we're inside here. And what we're starting to figure out is a steering rack, or a steering shaft. So we need to go from there down to there. Somewhere here we have to make like a hole. And then we have to make it over to here. So we have 3 U-joints to work with. Now what I'm doing right now is I want to mark where we have clearance in here, because we have the alternator here. And it looks like from where this shaft is, we need to kind of go it'll end up coming just along this plane sort of here. And then I guess it'll come out maybe here. And then another U-joint will take it straight to there. So they say to go as straight as you can, which probably will put me somewhere around here. I might have to move this around. I want to move this anyways because this is kind of like this for the steering box, which isn't here. So I'd like to be able to loosen all this, turn this way down here, and then have this line kind of follow this where the steering box used to be, just to get it kind of out of the way. Where the position is, we're probably good to about here. Now we can take this stuff off, and then we can start figuring out what we're gonna have to cut to start running the U-joint, get the U-joint in there, and then get the shaft. And what I think I'll do is I'll probably just end up cutting most of this out, making a big hole, and then after I'll weld it back up and box it all back in. Now you can kind of see, I even made a mark kind of here showing where the alternator kind of goes. So we definitely know from pretty much this whole section here is free, and same with here. So I think I'll just get in here, cut this, this, and this. If you're doing a steering rack like this on a normal car, a stock, non-modified car, you wouldn't have to do all this. Obviously, I added this big pocket here for the alternator, but you'd still have to drill some holes, or mind you, I guess if this pocket wasn't here, you'd have a straight shot, and then just make your hole and you'd be set. I just remembered that I bought this tool before, this oscillating blade. So let's, and that's kind of what it's for. So let's see if this will work. Woo. Sorry if you guys are wearing headphones. That thing's pretty noisy. It worked. The only thing is right there is a weld, and so it doesn't want to cut the weld. I cut like all the way to here, and now I'm kind of stuck. I got it off just with vice grips going back and forth. Now you can see, but you can see my problem here is that there's this other piece of metal. Now this is the pocket for the control arm, so it has to pass by there, which should probably be fine, but I pretty much think I'm gonna have to cut at least half of this out. Once I get the rack steering part done, then I'll have to like rebuild that, because I don't know what else I'm gonna do, because that's all in the way. Like I can't even get the U-joint in there right now because this bracket's in the way here, this piece of metal. So I'm gonna get to cutting. There we go. There's still a little piece of it in there, but that doesn't matter. I got the steering rack in again, and I got the alternator on again, and I have the U-joint in there. I should be okay in terms of alternator clearance. It's close, but I think it should be all right. The hole has to be right around here, which is just off center of the steering shaft. I can't really go straight because that puts it way over here. Oh, that's nice. Oh, what the heck? You know what? Oh my god. I am never going to get this done. Now I'm thinking I should put safety goggles on because there's going to be metal shavings flying everywhere. Now I hit the thing and the brake line is dripping all over the floor again. Oh boy. Okay. Maybe that's why it wouldn't work, because I wanted to put my safety goggles on first. Woo! Now that's a hole saw. That made quite the hole in there. Perfect. All right, so I'm good with that. There you go, big giant hole. So now one U-joint will kind of be here and then straight into the steering box is the plan. I just need to have a piece of tubing that goes from here to there. So I took a measurement. I only need about 4 inches, and then it goes to the next U-joint. I'm gonna take this piece of tubing that came with the kit right here, mark off 4 inches, cut 4 inches, and then we'll test fit it. There you go. Love this thing. I took the piece of tubing and I just taped it, because this has to get welded, and then it has to get welded to that U-joint, and then that it ends up being kind of like a one piece. So just for test fitting purposes, I just taped it, and then we'll see what happens here. Because I don't even know how this is gonna, so far it's not really fitting. I think I'm gonna have to come in here and, well, if I just take a pair of channel locks even and give it a little tug maybe, realistically I could cut this whole alternator opening and then and make a new one. Okay, so let's try again. Now that we just opened her up a bit, I got no binding, no issues, and now we're sticking out of the hole here, heading towards the steering shaft. So that's perfect. So that's kind of how it's going to have to sit. Maybe what I'll do now is I'll put the alternator back on just to make sure I'm not getting any clearance issues. I don't know if you can see there, but there's lots of clearance all the way around. And I also have to cut this off, which I'm not 100% sure how to do that, because if you look inside, there is a piece of tubing that goes all the way through. So I don't know if I can just split this and then it'll come off. I don't know if, I don't think it's pressed on. I'm sure it's welded on. So we'll have to figure that out too. Ah, there we go. Yeah, see, this is, there actually is, you can't really see it now because I cut through it, but there's teeth on here. So I don't know if, I mean, that'll be fine. Like, but it looks like this was originally maybe pressed on. Not that it matters, but I'm trying to like not cut through the original kind of like splines, but it's coming. You can see how it's like splined. But that's okay. This way it gives me a better, if I would have left this nub on here, whoa, it would have been a little less to weld to. Now I got lots to weld to, and I mean, I'm going to slip the piece of tubing inside here anyways. It's going to slip in and then get welded along the outside, so it's good. It's good. I went and cut another 4-inch piece, taped it to there, so this is going to slide in here. Now all we need to know is how far we are from this U-joint over to this U-joint. 10 3/4. So now we'll go out, we'll cut a piece 10 3/4, put it in, and it should be good. Here's the piece. Except, how am I supposed to put this together? I mean, that's perfect except for, I guess I have to, if the shaft is going to be one piece, everything's welded. Yeah, I guess I kind of have to put it in to here, then slide the rack into it and plug it in, basically. So, just took a second and figured that I just had to take the tape off here so that I could move this around to get it into place. So there it is. So we got U-joint to U-joint to U-joint to steering rack. Just like that. And then we got this, and that's just going to offer stiffness because with a U-joint and a U-joint, there's nothing really holding it from just flopping around. All right, so I've been sitting here thinking about this for a bit. So basically the way I come to figure this out, once I weld in that piece of tubing to the frame, then pretty much this thing does not ever come out of here because it's going to get welded to the steering column, welded there, welded there, welded in there, welded in there. So this thing pretty much won't be able to come out. Which, it doesn't need to come out, but if it ever needed to come out, right? Then my other issue was, which I'm fine with, it's staying in there for good. But my other issue is the way this is set up like this. Now I can't get the steering rack out because I have to be able to turn this U-joint kind of up in order to pull the rack out, and there's no way it's going to come out. I'm going to have to cut this here, give myself clearance so that this U-joint will turn, which in a way is good because then that'll make it so I can lock it in and to be able to remove the rack if need be. I mean, the rack could go bad, wear out, etc. I'm less worried about the U-joints wearing out. Once everything's done, I'll box this in the best I can. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's really going to lose much strength, but we'll clean it up to make it look better, and yeah, that's it. So I'm going to continue this tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow be able to do all this welding and get this done. It's dinner time, so I'll see you tomorrow. All right, so it is the next day. I'm out here working on the car again. I've actually got some work done off camera. I welded all the joints, so there you can see there. And there's one there you can't see, and then up there is all welded, and then I tacked in place the stiffener thing. And I tacked it to the steering column, which you can't really see there, but it is tacked to there. I'll go in the car and I will turn the steering wheel, and you can see it in action. Okay, here we go. Feels all good, no binding anywhere. Looks like that's gonna work out pretty good. I ended up cutting a lot more of that out, and the reason I did that is because I wasn't gonna be able to weld this U-joint on here and then get it in the car cell. I would have had to weld it inside the car, which I didn't think was gonna be good. So I just decided, screw it, I'm just gonna cut all this out, pretty much remanufacture half of it, so I might as well make it all. I can make it fit the alternator and the steering shaft good. So I welded in that little thing there. I repositioned the brake lines so that they're out of the way. I welded it to the steering column, which kind of sucked because the, you know, it's kind of shitty metal, the steering column tube, but it's welded. I went over it twice to make sure that it was good and solid, and that's pretty much it. That's the steering rack. I mean, I still got to do the bump steer, but that's going to be once the front end's back together, the control arms are on and springs in and all that kind of stuff. Shaft is in and it works, and the only thing I still going to do is this part here, and we'll get at that tomorrow. All right, I said I was going to go in the house, but I lied. I started looking around for some metal, and I found some, and here's what I've come up with. So I made this triangular piece here, and then I made this piece here, which I'm gonna, once I weld it a bit, I'm gonna bang it down, flatten it out, and pretty much that'll be that. That'll reinforce it. There's still lots of room for the alternator. And then I'll still be able to access the U-joint for undoing it for the steering rack, because the nut is right there. So I'll still be able to access it to get the rack out, in and out. And I think that should be pretty good. So I just made those pieces, usual, cut up some cardboard templates. I really like this bandsaw plate that Clayton made me. Works awesome, exactly what I wanted. So I'm just gonna weld this stuff up, and I'll come back when it's welded. Just MIG welded it. Figured no point trying to TIG weld that. There it is. It's a steering rack. I'm gonna take the steering rack out again so that I can paint everything, and then like I said, the next thing to do is start putting it all back together. The only other thing I still have to do is my transmission cooler was mounted to this cross member, the original one, kind of like right here. So I got to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do there. I mean, it should fit no problem, like right here again, kind of where it was. I just have to make some tabs or something like that. I wish I had one of those nutsert things, because that would be good. I could just drill a couple holes, but maybe I'll just weld some little tabs on there or something. So that I still have to do, but otherwise that's it. So now I'm really gonna go in the house, and see you tomorrow. So I'm out here and I am painting. Very exciting. Everything that I worked on, welded, etc. Some paint. I also added 2 little tabs right there. You see them sticking off. That's for the transmission cooler to mount. So it'll actually be mounted basically in the same spot it was before. I'm still gonna take this cross member out right here. It's bolt in. I have some metal here, this piece of flat stock. So I'm gonna make new mounting pads just like what's there now, and then I'm going to weld a new cross member on, and the only difference is it's going to be chromoly, which is what this is. But that's not that important. Like, I'm going to do it, but I can do that at any point because it just bolts in. So what I'm trying to do tonight is I'm going to paint everything, get it painted, and then tomorrow it'll be all nice and dry. Pretty much put the whole front end together. And then the only thing we're gonna still have to do is put the outer tie rods, which are right here. They actually say TRZ on them, which is cool. Except that looks like I got it dirty a little bit, but okay. And the bump steer kit, which is all these spacers and bolts and stuff, which we're gonna have to figure out. I almost forgot, not that it's that important, but this is what I'm painting the frame with. It's engine enamel, gas and oil resistant, good up to 500 Fahrenheit. The reason I'm using this is because I went to a store, local store, and they had this stuff on sale for $3 a can, and it's usually like $15 a can for engine enamel or chassis paint. And being that it's heat resistant and oil resistant, it's perfect for painting a chassis. So rather than go out and buy paint, spend 15 bucks a can, or buy some cheap semi-gloss, I picked this stuff up. So I got like 8 cans. I pretty much bought every can they had because it's useful for all kinds of stuff. It's 2 days later. Yesterday I was out here. The guys ended up showing up. So I ended up putting it all together. I mean, pretty much it's the reverse of taking it apart. So there it is. So we got the upper control arms, steering rack bolted in. All that went good. Got the Moroso trick springs back in there. This part isn't, the bump steer isn't set up yet. I'm gonna have to do that when the car's on the ground. So for now I just kind of stuck it together like this so that it's together. You know, this is just finger tight on here. Now at least it's together. And there we go. This is the piece which, like I said, I made years ago. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just want to make it out of moly, that's all. Because I have moly. And I think what I might end up doing too is moving this ahead some, and then I could add some bracing. I don't know. I don't know if any of that's necessary. I mean, for looks, I guess. probably have. I always think I'm wearing glasses, so I don't need to wear safety glasses, which is probably dumb. If you look at it this way, this is flat, this is kind of angled this way, and then I think it's also angled a bit this way. With the plates, it's a foot. So I just marked it out just over 1 foot, and I'm gonna cut it, and then once I cut it, then I'll have to fit it. There we go. I ended up laying this one over top to kind of cut it at this little bit of an angle here, and I went and stuck it in there, and it fits perfectly. What are the chances of that? First try fits exactly perfect, and the gaps are like tight as can be, though it does have to go back a bit because I wouldn't be able to get the bolt out there. Okay, so we got one nice tack there. Do the same on this side. That should keep it in place so that I can tap it out of here carefully and then weld it up. I did some reading today trying to, you know, figure out TIG welding, and I mean, I've welded lots of stuff, and some stuff sometimes turns out really good, then it doesn't, and I'm trying to like figure out consistency, like what am I doing wrong that's not quite, you know. So I don't know. I mean, this looks not bad. Here I got a little, you know, because I was worried about burning it because it's too thin, but I don't know. I mean, it's definitely welded. Because at the end of the day, I like it a lot better than the way a MIG weld looks. You know, it's not perfect dime stacks, but I don't know. That's welded better than some of the stuff I welded the last couple days, looks-wise. I mean, it definitely, see if I can grab it. It definitely penetrated. You can see it coming through the other side, so it's definitely going to be strong. There it is. Here's the old one. And here's the new one. So that was the other side. I mean, like I said, I think they turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. That's what matters the most, my car. There we go, before and after. And this one definitely is heavier than this one. This one feels quite a bit lighter than this. That's chromoly for you. So, paint job and get it on the car. Paint is literally gonna get baked on because it's still hot. It's in there. So I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, for the most part, it looks the same as the old one, except the welds are nicer and it fits tighter. The other one, I think, might have been a little on the smaller side. Like, you can kind of see how that's bent. This one too, kind of. It didn't really fit tight. There was like kind of a little bit of a gap, where this one fits like nice and tight. And it's chromoly, so it's lighter. And there we go. So pretty much, that's it. That's installing the steering rack. I'll probably do a video about the bump steer, checking bump steer and all that. You know, like, but that'll be once the engine is in the car. So for now, we got it together. I could put the wheels on and put it on the ground, but I might as well leave it up because next I'm going to take the engine apart, figure out what's up with it, change the head gasket hopefully, and that's all that it needs, and put it back in right away. So that's going to be it for this video. If you're interested in the engine disassembly, definitely tune into the next one. And like always, tell your friends, subscribe if you haven't. And I know, because a lot of you who watch the videos aren't subscribed. You know, analytics show that the large percentage of people watching the videos aren't subscribed. So subscribe, watch the videos. It's free. All right, check you later.